Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show for Friday, August 12th, 2022. Welcome to another eBay video. Today we're going to be discussing the ongoing feedback glitch professional dancers you encounter. Not just your average, ordinary eBay dancers, but professional dancers. We're going to also discuss your comments, questions, and concerns from last week's video. You'll notice that it is, in fact, cloudy out, which is basically normal. And the reason why I'm broadcasting from here, as opposed to work, is because I'm expecting a tradesperson to come. And as you know, they usually make you give a 2 to 3 hour window or even longer. So that's why I'm here. So we're going to start off with your questions, comments, and concerns from last week's video. Yelena said, I used to leave feedback after eBay notified me when an item was delivered. Now only after the buyer does. Positive feedback from buyers is getting less over the years. However, negatives have gone up. I've noticed many 100% well-established sellers getting negs and neutrals for the craziest reasons, especially during the shutdowns. eBay should at least allow sellers to leave neutrals. Bad buyers should be on a naughty list. Just saying. Peace. Sadly, we cannot leave any bad feedback for bad buyers. And let me tell you something, guys. There are plenty of them out there. We'll talk more about that as the video continues. Truman Hare said, back to school shopping season has started. The big slowdown before fourth quarter. As far as the China hubs and your emblems, block the buyer, relist the emblems, and wait for the buyer to contact you. Doing an end run around the return system was his first mistake. Returning both the China hubs was his second mistake. Your time and effort is too precious to waste on his next mistake. I do agree with you there, Truman Hare. Totally. Buckeye Thrifter wrote, Hi Joe, only refund for your items and let him stew on the others he returned. Not your problem. Thanks for all you do. You have no problem, nothing to worry about. I'm not even contacting him about the other items he sent back, which he never even bought from me. 5797029, Mike wrote, the beginning of July returns were crazy. Toward the end of July, they were all processed out. Going into August, 0 open returns. Friday the 5th, just before your show, 3 returns within 2 hours. All 3 said they changed their mind and didn't need it any longer. These buyers paid around $20 to $25 for original shipping and are now paying for return shipping. The average sale price was approximately $60. Mike and everybody else, this is something I've been talking about. It is crazy how people will spend more money in shipping than the item is worth. Mike said his average sale price was $60. But many of mine were less than that, whereas the buyer was losing money by returning the item. It's just insane. Dennis Copper wrote, Joe, the screen that eBay gave you to leave feedback for yourself is a glitch. It is really for buyers, not sellers. The words they use bring up red flags. It makes buyers want to give problems to sellers. eBay says to them, quote, how was Hubcap Joe's? How did the part fit? What was the quality like? Were all the expected parts included? Unquote. Why the hell are they talking to our buyers like that? That was last Friday when I showed you the feedback glitch. Do you know it's been over a week and nothing has changed? That same screen is still coming up. It's absolutely sick and it's absolutely insane. And I've read a lot about this on the forums, on Facebook posts, and even e-commerce bites wrote about it. I'm especially concerned not so much about the glitch, but the verbiage. Just like Dennis Copper said, they are basically planting seeds of doubt where no seeds should ever be planted. Capiche? On the same topic, flippin' ain't easy, John wrote. Joe, I'm concerned by the feedback screen you showed us. I am sure the buyer is asked the same questions about the seller when posting feedback. To ask a buyer if it will fit and the overall quality of the item is not in the spirit of the eBay feedback system, which should be reserved to rate sellers' overall performance, not the expected quality of the item. Most eBay sellers do not manufacture the items they sell, and item reviews are very subjective indeed. It seems that eBay wants buyers to leave an Amazon review more so about the product itself. eBay really needs to inform the sellers that the feedback system has changed if this is the case. You know, it's funny that in the recent seller update, eBay never mentioned any change in the feedback situation, the feedback procedure, and to this day hasn't. In the past, they've always come out and said something first. Next comment from Jose Martinez. Joe, I thought that once a seller receives a return for an item not as described, you are not able to make any deductions on the refund to the buyer as the system locks up to the INAD return. I was told this from other sellers I've talked to in the past. They also told me that the seller would lose out on the eBay seller fees due to the deductions made by the seller. Am I correct, or did I receive false information? Thanks again, buddy, for the videos. Jose, you're right and you're wrong. You're right that sellers will lose on the eBay seller fees when they take that deduction. 100% correct. As far as I'm concerned, though, you're wrong because I offer 30-day returns, no questions asked. The buyer must pay the return, except in the case of an item not as described claim. And I've always been able to take the deduction. And while we're on this topic, I told you last week a story about a guy who accidentally opened an item not as described claim against me, admitted it was his fault, and told me to go ahead and take the deduction for the shipping. Remember that? Well, the item came back last week. I processed it, and I took the deduction. What do you think's going on right now? The return is still wide open. eBay will not automatically close a return when we take a deduction of any kind. We have to wait, I believe it's another 10 business days. So you remember last week I told you I had 6 or 7 open returns? How many open returns do you think I have right now? Want to guess? Correct. 6 or 7. Only one person sent the item back, which was the guy I told you about, and his return was left open, dangling in the air. The other buyers all are going to return their items, but eBay gives buyers approximately 25 working days to return items. It is freaking ludicrous. I don't know what Amazon's policy is. If any of you Amazon guys can tell us, how long does an Amazon buyer have to return the item once he clicks on, I want to return this item? Please tell us. Looks like the sun might be trying to peek out through the clouds. All right. I've got a bit of a long one here from Dan Frisco, but it's very good, and I'm going to read it in its entirety. Just to show vetting doesn't always help, Joe. I stopped sending and taking offers last November because of all the issues I've had with that feature. Sales are dead now. I received a message from a buyer that they wanted to buy using offers but couldn't send an offer. A few minutes later, they sent an offer. I guess they figured out how to do it. I vetted them. Lots of feedback, all positive. Active within the past few months, check. Active within the past, positive feedback from sellers, check. Some even mention buyer pays quickly. Positive feedback left to sellers, check. Account opened in 2011, check. US based, check. I accepted the offer because it was reasonable, and then all the questions started rolling in. He's describing the dancer, something I refer to as the dancer on eBay. I ignored all of the messages. I waited 4 mandatory days for the deadbeats who don't pay, filed a non-paying bidder, and blocked the deadbeat buyer. In accepting the offer, I lost all the history associated with the listing and the 20-plus watches it had built up. If you're going to change prices as a seller, change the buy it now price and give them 24 hours to pay. If no order within that time frame, then up the buy it now price and move on. Too many deadbeats around on eBay to waste time with offers anymore. I can't even trust vetting them. I guess other people's livelihood is just a game to some people. Well, I don't think I could have said it better myself. I especially like the part where Dan talked about how when he accepts an offer, he loses all of the item's accrued clout. And he's very right about that. Now, if the buyer actually pays for the item, who cares? It's a moot issue. But when you encounter these deadbeat buyers, it just plain sucks. And nobody knows better than cute Joey. This week, the good news is I've had no more new returns since last week. The bad news is I've had several deadbeat bidders. Now, I'm not concerned at all about the magicians. Those who send us an offer, agree to pay, and disappear without ever paying. That's just part of doing business on eBay. Okay? eBay's a minefield. You got to learn how to sidestep. See that? Boop, boop. See, that's how you do it. You get the picture? The eBay sidestep. I'm just going to keep doing this for a minute. I want to make sure you guys get the idea. Okay, I think you guys got the idea. Now the magicians. I can't stand them. I hate them with a passion. I encountered what I'm going to call a professional magician the other day. I mean, this guy was the worst of the worst. He was blatant. And in eBay messages, he bragged to me that he's been doing this to every seller and has never, ever had a problem until he encountered cute Joey. Sick, disgusting, but true. Let me give you a brief rundown about this character right now. All right, guys. I'm inside. Can you believe that the entire day has come and gone? I had planned to shut that video off only for a couple of minutes and then come back on. Never was able to. The tradespeople showed up, I had to let them in. By that time I had to run and take the shipping orders, this and that, go to work. So here I am to finish the video. I want to clarify something I just said at the very end of the first clip. I incorrectly said that there were certain types of magicians that really upset me. I didn't mean to say magicians, I meant to say dancers. Dancers are the ones that upset me. So that was incorrect verbiage on my part. But first I want to tell you about a dangerous dancer I had this week. I also want to talk about a problem excluding post office boxes. A big problem for cute Joey. I'm also going to talk about eBay messages and a few other things, so really let's get right into it. If all goes well, I'll tear through this whole video in one sitting. First of all, let me tell you about the post office boxes. A few weeks ago, we talked about this, and I told you guys that I had changed my preferences to exclude post office boxes, which I did. This week, I had not one, not two, but 3 orders go to post office boxes. The first one was here in New York. That didn't matter. The second one went to Hawaii. That was a moot subject because UPS would charge crazy money to go there. And the third one, which was just earlier today, which really hurt, went to California and cost me almost $50 to ship the item, whereas I could have had it shipped for $27 through UPS. And that is the fee that shows up when the buyer looks at the item. I have it set to UPS. I don't know how these post office boxes are slipping through. I swear, I set my preferences correctly. Have any of you guys ever heard of this? And if so, do you have any suggestions for me? I could call up eBay and report it, but I know they're going to tell me there's a glitch. And you know what that means? It means, too bad, it's not getting fixed. Now I want to talk about the dangerous dancer I ran into the other day. I get so many dancers, but this guy is in a class by himself. I had an item that was $90 plus $35 shipping. In the middle of the night, the buyer sends me a best offer of $50. Now, $50 on a $90 item is not good, okay? And truthfully, I probably shouldn't have even accepted it, but I did. All right, so let's play the hand that I dealt myself by accepting this guy's offer. He lives in California, okay? So it's going to cost every cent of the $35. I sent him his invoice. Within 1 hour, the dancing starts. And he asked me a question that I don't think I've ever been asked before. He said, "How much do you think I sent you an offer for?" That's weird. I said to him, "The item was listed at $90 plus $35 shipping. You sent me an offer of $50 plus the shipping, which is the truth." And he wrote back and said, "No, the $50 was to include shipping to California." Now, this causes so much consternation for so many reasons. Number one, who could afford to ship to California for $50? You make no money on the item. You'll wind up losing money. Number two, it's against eBay rules when sending an offer to ask for free shipping in the body, in the comment section. You may lower your request price, all right? You may lower your offer to anything you want. You can offer the person $1 if you want. That's totally legit and legal. Of course, I doubt very many people would accept the $1 offer, but if you want to offset the shipping, you can offer as low as you want. I wrote back and I told them that. I said, it's against eBay policy to put free shipping in the body of the offer. It clearly says in the drop-down menu, this offer does not include shipping and handling charges. You all know I'm right. He wrote back to me and said, "Listen, I've been doing it this way forever, and I've never had a single seller complain until you." So he's telling me that he's been putting, or should I say demanding, free shipping in all his offers, which is the wrong way to do it, and apparently sellers have been accepting this. I wouldn't accept it. No way. No way. I even said to him, I said, "Sir," I said, "if you would have offered me $90, the full asking price, and then put in the little love note, 'I want free shipping,' I would have declined your offer, because that's not the way it's done." Anyway, You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that I never heard from him again. The dancer turned into a magician, disappeared, unpaid item case, and I relisted the item. I think eBay needs to do a better job. I mean, true, it definitely says this offer does not include shipping and handling. But I think they need to put it in red or make it more pronounced and get the word out there a little better. Also, I don't want to beat a dead horse into the ground, but they've got to do something about these deadbeat bidders. I've never seen so many. And I do believe most of you guys would agree with me on that. But still in all, now some of you say, well, Joe, go back to the way you used to do it. Just have a fixed price, immediate payment required, and take off the best offer. That would eliminate the headaches. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you, listen up. I am making so much more money with best offers than I've ever made in my life. Yes, you're going to get deadbeat bidders, dancers, magicians, and a headache. You're going to get all that. But you're also going to get something else. You're going to get a lot of this, okay? And this, my friends, is what it's all about. Capiche? Now, this morning, when I made the first part of the video, I told you guys I hadn't had any returns this week. True to form, I spoke too soon. And I got one today. A guy wants to return an $18, that's 1-8, $18 center cap. Because he bought the wrong thing. But I want you to see this. I've got the message right here. First I'll read it, and then I'm going to show you. Here's what he wrote. I have a 1991 Buick Regal Custom. The emblem cover matches perfectly, but the back clip things do not. I have tried to rig it up, but I can't get it to work. That concerns me. He tried to rig it up. If he adjusted this piece or broke it in any way, I will give him nothing back. Okay? He did admit, though, he bought the wrong size. He's asking for his $18 back, and it's going to cost him $6.75, which he paid going, $6.75 coming back. It amazes me the trouble and the length people will go through to return items, even when it's not monetarily feasible. And like I just said, listen to this. His first comment was, I have a 1991 Buick Regal Custom, and the title of the item is One Center Cap for Buick LeSabre 14-inch locking wire spoke hubcap. It's not even close to what he needs. Not even close. When you sell in eBay Motors, you get the dumbest of the dumb. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It is the truth. This week, we're up and down. I had some very good days. I had some not so good days. But all in all, I'm satisfied. Some people stated in last week's video they feel that it's slow this time of year because of kids going back to school. Now, truthfully, I don't know what that would even have to do with it. I sell on eBay Motors. I'm not selling school supplies. And besides that, the kids here don't go back to school till September, beginning of September. I'm sure all you guys remember what it was like when it was getting near September, or whenever you guys went back to school, and you'd go walking in the department stores and you'd see back to school sale, and you'd be like, oh no, my summer vacation's going to be over. Yeah, good times. Well, basically, that's all I have to tell you about eBay right now. I have a little life story I think I'll share with you now. And, fittingly, it involves kids. I've said in many videos over the years that kids today, in the year 2022, are nothing like kids of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The kids we grew up with. The kids that were kids, that went out and hung out with other kids, learned how to be social and talk, not like the kids today. I mean, the summertime, they don't even leave the house. And, you know, it's just a whole different situation. There was an incident, I don't have a lot of time here, but there was an incident a couple of months ago in my area where a man was driving, an old guy, like 80 years old, and he's one of these do-gooders in town, the kind that loves to help people out. Like if he sees an old lady coming out of the supermarket with big bags, he'll run over and carry the groceries for her, you know, or drive her if she needs a ride. One of those guys. So anyway, he's driving on a street and he sees a 14-year-old boy walking. So the old man, I don't know the exact verbiage he used, but apparently he was trying to do a good thing and offered the kid a ride. The kid ran like a track star to his house, had his mother call 911. Police from every town in the surrounding area converged, okay? They launched an investigation like they were looking for Jesse freaking James. They went to people's doorbell camera. Some people have doorbell cameras in the area. And they were able to get a make and model of the car and a plate. So they knew who they wanted. They went to the guy's house. And when they rang his bell, they realized the cops, they know the guy. He's a local, well-known person in town. Let's say his name is John Smith. And he's a really good friend of the mayor. He's really tight. He's well-liked. Everybody knows he wouldn't do anything to harm a child. But they said to John Smith, they said, listen, we know your intentions were good, but please, for the love of God, don't stop any more kids on the road. It doesn't look good, and the way kids are, they may misconstrue that you're trying to be a nice guy, and they may think something else. You get my point. Keep that in mind while I tell you the following funny story, and I'm going to let you go. When I was 22 years old, this is back in the 1980s, I was just starting out in business, and one of the services I offered was I would deliver hubcaps to my customers as long as it was, if it was worthwhile, if it was a $50 or $100 sale, and it wasn't real far, I would deliver it. So I had this one particular rich lawyer, filthy rich lawyer, who lived in Westchester, and he needed 4 hubcaps for his classic car. I had them, and we agreed on a price of $200. $200 in the 1980s was worth a lot more than $200 today. So on a summer Saturday afternoon at around 4:30, I drove up to Westchester with these hubs for this customer. I had his address, and I had a decent idea of how to get there, but this is before cell phones and all those goodies and MapQuest. So I knew I had to take 95. I knew where I had to get off. I did that, and now I'm on a main road. It goes one lane each way, one lane north, one lane south. It's a residential road, but it's fairly busy. All right, but I don't know where I have to go now. I know I'm in the area. Up ahead, I spot 2 kids walking the same way I'm walking, going north. They appear to be maybe 15, 16. At the time, I'm driving a good-looking Cadillac. It's used, but it's clean, very respectable looking. I pull up next to these kids, and I have the window down because it's summertime. I said, "Excuse me, do you know where Oak Street is?" And one of the kids says to me, "Oh, sure I do. In fact, he lives on Oak Street, and we're going to his house right now." I said, "I tell you what," I said, "if you'll give me directions to Oak Street, I will drive you right to his house right now. Those two kids jumped in the back seat of my car like we were old friends. So the kid directs me, all right, turn down the next block, make a right, make a left, make a right. All right, this is Oak Street. And he says to me, stop here. This is my house. Okay. And as they're getting out, he says to me, who are you looking for? Whose house are you looking for? And I said to him, I'm looking for Mr. Smith. Oh, sure, Mr. Smith. 2 houses down on the left. The big driveway that's on an incline, right over there. Dropped the kids off, went over to Mr. Smith, and I made my sale. The 1980s were innocent times compared to today, as evidenced by the 2 stories I've just presented. I would never, ever stop a kid for directions today in the year 2022. I don't care if I have to drive around 10 miles out of my way. I'm not doing it, okay? But back then, it was an innocent time, and I remember that incident like it was yesterday. And I hope you guys remember that I'm Crazy New York Driver, and you're not. Thank you for watching this video. Every Friday night, I make a video to help you try to stay successful as an eBay seller. If you think I'm doing a good job, please leave me a thumbs up. It tells me I'm on point and appreciated. If you don't think I did a good job, tell me in the comments section what you want me to do, what you want me to talk about next week, and I'll be more than happy to try. Go out there, make a ton of money on eBay, rock on, and peace!